So I talked with Hunter today, Lippy.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It was lovely. But I was talking to him about his keepers, and I was talking to him about Puka. Are you spooked about Puka and redraft at all?
So, if I was sure, if I'm at the 1-2 turn and someone's telling me to take Puka at 11, sure. But if I can keep Puka for $1 out of a $200 budget, I'm not spooked.
Okay, that's kind of what I told him. But I was just curious. Um,
It's really just. I wouldn't want him at the 1-2 turn. He's at 11th in ADP here. That's crazy sauce. Give me JT. Give me Saquon over him.
what if we're a few days before the draft and a report comes out that Puka's questionable for week one? Are you still keeping him if you're Hunter?
For a buck, yes. The real question here is, wasn't that one of the big knocks on Puka at BYU, like coming out of college? That he was
I,
hurt a chunk.
I do not know enough
I
about it.
can't pretend to. Yeah, I can't pretend to know anything about BYU's history in Puka's time there.
I feel like it was, but I don't know.
Maybe that's who you
I
should
feel like
play
he was hurt
as
a chunk in college.
in your NCAA game. You should play as BYU.
I'm playing as Oklahoma State. We're at Ohio State, which isn't good. People like to choose the best teams. It's really kind of mean.
I wonder why they would do that.
Wait, so you thought that Tulane would be a risky proposition, but Oklahoma State is fine.
Yeah.
That seem a little
Mm.
interesting.
They have the best running back in the game.
I don't know about that. I've seen some videos of that one guy for Ohio State doing some spin moves.
Jenkins, but Ali's better.
Okay, let's see here. Is Jack? Come on, Jack. Come on through, Jack. Let's see you, Jack. So anyway, I was curious about the Puka question just because
Puka at the 1-2 turn just makes me want to puke. But Puka for a
Yeah,
buck, how do you
I
not
think
like
even
that?
healthy, I wouldn't like Puka at that ADP, but yeah, for $1, I would take that in a heartbeat.
I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously it's an amazing keeper. That's what I told him. But he was debating between keeping Puka and Laporta, and
The thing is, like,
I told him Puka's just too phenomenal of a deal to pass up.
he is.
Where,
Like,
where, in terms of this, I mean, I guess we'll get there. Where are you comfortable with Puka?
I mean, the answer's probably going to be like middle end of the second. But even then, I don't know. Also, that was
Second
past
round,
2
I'd
years.
feel
We really
okay.
we don't call it in the game.
I think it's just like I feel like your first round pick, especially in redraft, like it needs to be somebody that you feel good about, like that is just gonna be a hit. And I don't know, even without the injury stuff, I would worry a little bit about Puka.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. But see, I don't know. It's difficult to quantify because end of the second seems like he shouldn't have gone that far. But maybe I will end up being wrong. Let's see. So Jack's asking where the
Well,
link.
just the real issue is once you get to the end of the second, you're really talking Ayuk or Puka. You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, he's going to be very valuable because he's going to be catching passes for the 49ers, the Patriots, and the Browns this year. So
Oh,
Ayuk is going to be exceptionally valuable.
the Steelers. Steelers, remember dark horse for Ayuk.
Oh, and the Steelers. Steelers. Okay, breaking news from Jack.
I'll just go ahead and say this now. I'm not getting Pickens in Apex, but wow, Pickens might be amazing this year. If obviously Ayuk doesn't go.
You know, Pickens could be had in DGen for the right price.
Wow, are we gonna do a trade live on the air?
I don't know. Depends on what the offer is.
Well, we'll see that develop with bated breath. Jack, the link for the draft is in Fuckfest chat. And once you're in, I think we'll fire this off. And I'm sure we'll have a litany of trolls and ogres join the call as we go, and they'll observe our progress. Um, But this is a normal half PPR league. It's not super flex. 3 wide receiver, 2 running back, 2 flex. So, and not tight end premium. So pretty much it's just Apex. But does Apex have 2 flex, or is it just 1?
One flex.
Oh, they just.
Tate, what are your thoughts on doing a draft without ADP?
Oh, you mean like alphabetical and everything?
Yeah. Don't give people ADP advantage.
I don't know. Like
Oh, Puka
on the one
update.
hand, oh, what's the update?
Yeah, we just got one from McVay.
Just gonna be week. How's it week to week but not serious? That makes no sense. Still.
So there is no update.
Look, as the known Puka hater in this chat, like, can anybody name another wide receiver 1S candidate that's ever had a week-to-week issue in the preseason that didn't scare you to, like, the mid-4th? Like, I heard you guys say late second. That's like a joke. Yeah, but wait, what?
Oh, sorry. We're just naming people. So you'd
just
keep
like
Laporta over Puka if you were a hunter.
Yeah, definitely.
Alexander, can you
At
text me the mock link? I can't find it anymore. It's not loading in the Fuckfest chat.
I don't know what's going on with it.
Oh, wait, there we go. It's working now.
It's not loading on my screen. Let me just close it out and try to reopen it.
I thought some people might just be scared to draft. I don't know.
Or too stupid. to
Loading in
know.
Fuckfest. I think this sleeper server.
Okay, no listos.
Yeah, it just says loading.
Oh, there we go. I'm in. Nope. I see I see like the.
I'm gonna make. Oh, there we go. I'm in. What the fuck?
I see your green dot. I don't have any players. That's loading.
What the fuck?
Do you have players?
No.
Wait, what do you mean you don't have players? I have players.
Refresh. Try and refresh, Tate.
Oh, there we go. I got players.
No, I mean I have them.
Okay, I have them now too. It
Oh,
works.
shit.
Okay.
Oh, now I backed out. Fuck. Hold on.
I don't know what happened there. Very curious.
All right, I'm back.
Everyone got fucking players in front of them and all that good stuff.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Good deal. I cannot start the draft.
Okay. That
Okay, there we
goes
go.
poorly.
There we go.
Started.
There we go.
Okay. Let's see.
Are we live, by the way?
We're recording. Yeah.
Jamar Chase 101. The mocks are getting smart.
What's going on here? Wow.
Jefferson at 1-3.
That feels like the most no-brainer thing of all time.
Really?
I think that's very bold.
I think it is.
Yeah,
too.
I think that means you have no brain.
that's pretty crazy bold, honestly.
I think it's
I
kind of an
disagree.
interesting pick.
Sam Darnold, QB1. Whew.
Darnold can sling that thing.
Well, I mean, I guess we'll see. I think it's a good pick. I just don't know if it's a no-brainer.
I think that people were overthinking the Justin Jefferson stuff. Like
Overthinking. You have Chase, you have Lamb, you have CMC, Bijan, and Brees, and Reek. Would you not want all of them over Jay Jetts?
I don't think. And I guess I'm just a big Justin Jefferson guy. I didn't know that'd be controversial.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can like going Gibbs over Brees is crazy sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that.
Yeah, but Gibbs is going to get a free house from Amon-Ra St. Brown. So.
Well, when you think about that.
The bet for 1,000 and 1,000. I mean, come on. Oh.
Ugh. My very gross Philly stack. Philly's just gonna have the best offense ever.
All right.
Joshua Allen.
Very nice.
Okay. Lippy's shored up at running back.
I can't say no to ETN there.
Would you have taken? Would you have taken A-Chain or ETN?
A-Chain. Ooh.
Because he went the pick before.
Probably ETN, but I mean, maybe could have convinced me to go A-Chain.
I probably would have gone A-Chan.
I feel like A-Chan's just going to get hurt again.
Possibly.
Like, not that I'm saying he's going to get hurt. It's just more like, seems like the Dolphins are going to churn through whatever running back is there. I just don't feel like he's going to be there long enough to be worth a second-round pick. Who knows?
All right. I'll say this. Well, I'm just going to be very rude to Tate today. I'm
here for it.
I don't like the 210 Laporta pick at all. I think
that's perfectly fine.
I think that's very stinky.
Honestly, so Tate, I'm just gonna go ahead. Like you're gonna see like Njoku and Co going like the 6th, 7th. You'd rather have Laporta there in the 2nd?
I definitely would.
Wow. That's crazy sauce.
It's pretty wild. Pretty bananas, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just don't. I don't want to have to worry about the. I feel like Laporte is a known quantity, and I feel like the difference between him and those other guys is significant enough to where I don't want to miss out on it.
Yeah, it just seems so soon is my problem. I'm not trying to hate on Laporta, but...
Sounds like you might be trying to hate on Laporta.
Well, to be very clear, I'm trying to hate on you.
Well, that's something I'm comfortable with, so that's fine.
I think that Trey McBride at 4.6 is far more palatable. But what do I know? Very little. Cooper Kupp at 4.9 is nice, especially if Puka's dead.
Okay, and if I got a little fun fact for you here,
Okay.
We're like almost at, so we are at officially like all top 24, 25 wide receivers have just gone.
Yeah.
Did you know that through, it was like 2000 through 2024, any 30-year-old putting up a wide receiver 2 or higher season was like 23% of the time, and I'm willing to bet just from looking at this board that well over 30% of the wide receivers taken are like 30 or are going to turn 30 in this season. So, and honestly, like kind of shocking, like the amount of upper end,
older
Devontae Adams, Diggs, et cetera, that you're taking with these picks.
But what about the fun stat of every single tight end to have less than 800 yards and double-digit touchdowns had less touchdowns the following?
Wait, what's that stat?
Every single tight end to have less than 800 yards receiving.
Smash
or 900 yards. I don't remember what the stat was. It was like less than 900 yards and and double-digit touchdowns regress the next year in terms of fantasy finish and touchdowns.
So if you have less than 800 yards, you regress.
900, something like that. And
if you have more, you will
crazy
live
amount of
better.
touchdowns. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, well, that's good news.
Is that controlled for like injury or anything, or is it just like a kind of like a
It's the
magic
2,
utilization?
Now,
4,
why would you need
6,
to
8,
control
10.
a cherry pick
Ten-
stat for injury?
10 seasons. I mean, the mighty Julius Thomas had 12 touchdowns and 500 yards in 2014. Next year, he had 5 touchdowns. Mark Andrews in his age 24 season, 10 touchdowns, 850 yards, 7 touchdowns the next year.
Now that's all very interesting. I kind of want to pivot back to Jack's interesting fact. I really don't know because it makes me uncomfortable drafting guys like Tyreek, like Mike Evans, like Devontae Adams, and it kind of gives you the heebie-jeebies, but maybe it just shouldn't. Like maybe you just it's fine. Those guys are fine. They're fine. Everything's fine. Do you guys think it's fine, or is it like, all right, well we really need to get off this train?
I mean, I personally would rather avoid it if I could, unless it's, hey, I'm drafting some 30-year-old towards the back end of the wide receiver 2 spot. Like 30-year-olds are very productive. They can be very consistent. That's not a stat meant to be like, hey, they don't turn in good fantasy football games. It's just more of a like longevity stat, and I use it a lot in the dynasty context of, when some 29-year-old receiver, a 30-year-old receiver is being pushed as like a top 5 value. It's like, who's going to pay a top 5 wide receiver price whenever the historical data set says like the odds of you getting 2 wide receiver 2 or better seasons out of them for the rest of their career is effectively like almost like the receivers that do that are effectively going to be in the Hall of Fame or in the Hall of Fame. So it's just a fun little, I guess, intro on that front.
This is very interesting. I think, and I don't know why, but Devontae Adams at 2.4 is just very scary. I don't like that at all.
I feel like a lot of people would feel that way.
Yeah, well, I wonder how he would do with human beings drafting him. Because Mike Evans at 4-1, I'm like, all right, that works with me. That's fine. But
Yeah, that I would be fine with. How do you feel about Odunze at what is it, 6'6"?
Jaden Reed is a 10 times better pick.
Yeah, that's a trap pick. And I love Rowe.
Yeah. Team 7 is levered to Chicago.
It's almost 4 in a row.
That's incredible.
If he doesn't end up with Caleb, that's just a ruined draft for Team 7.
It's gotta be. Let's see. I'll go Swift.
I was thinking about Joe Burrow at 6'3".
My God, Team 5 has so many running backs.
5 knows how to do it.
Is that what we're saying?
They do know how to draft running backs.
I mean, yes. I guess in that respect, they do know how to do it.
Worthy 7'6".
I like Xavier Worthy, and I think that's a little high.
I don't know. It might be.
He's gone after 1, 2, 3, 4 other rookie receivers, I think.
Yeah.
Probably one of the better redraft spots as far as like, I mean, definitively landing spot, and you're buying a little bit of like Rashi Rice is gone for part of this season.
It's gone for anyways.
Yeah, I guess I feel like you're paying the Kansas City premium, and we've seen that be a problem before. But
I'm not gonna lie, Team 12 getting Hollywood Brown is like that. That could be a much more stable pick.
Yeah,
At that position.
Mr. Coot, we love your opinions on all the drafts.
What was that?
We love your opinions, Mr. Briard, on all the picks we've done so far. King Hoot just joined, I believe.
Oh, okay. I see. Yes. The link for this is in the
bio.
fantasy fuckfest chat.
I'd actually only like to hear your opinions if they align with what I've done so far.
Otherwise,
Ew. Okay, hold up. Shit. Sorry, I couldn't get the audio to work for a minute, so I just got audio. What's up, y'all?
You're good. What's going on, man? What's going on?
Doing good. Sorry, I'm late. I was hoping a homie cut into one of those Iberico hams, and that took way longer than I anticipated.
Okay, no worries.
What
Just
an
y'all know how we
amazing
eat over here
excuse
in
for
the
being
Hippo
late.
Empire. We're just dining on the finest of hams.
Your audio doesn't work because your thumbs were all greasy from the ham. Smart.
1,000%. I am slipping and sliding tonight. No lube needed.
Lucky lady.
We've got a mock.
What lucky ham?
Yeah. We've got a mock draft going. We have the link in the Fuckfest chat.
I'll go find it in a second.
Yeah. Let's see here. So I took Pollard a few rounds ago, Tate. Have you heard any rumblings as to what the better pick is there? I've seen that there are going to be co-lead running backs in the offense.
I guess my thing, I kind of like Tajay more. Like, I just liked him a lot coming out, and I'm gonna back up. I like him. I like Pollard a lot. I like Tajay a lot. But if you're telling me I can get Tajay 2 rounds after
the discount,
Pollard, I'm taking that any day of the week.
Yeah, that's fair.
But no, I do think it's going to be an actual like timeshare, and because I think both of them are players who benefit from having someone come in and dispel them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I was talking to Hunter, our resident Titans, one of our resident Titan fans. Team 7 got Caleb.
They did.
Oh, thank God.
Incredible.
But it's really interesting what the expectations are for that Tennessee offense. I think people are rising on them, so we'll see.
I think people are really high on them. That could be because a certain redhead comes in my office all the time to bug me about it, but there's certainly optimism there.
Mm-hmm.
I do not want to be the turd in the punch bowl guy, but I do think there's a lot of hand waving on that offensive line saying that, Callahan, like offensive line coaching can get that in place, and I don't think that's wrong. Like, I'm willing to bet on that. I think it's a fair bet, but I do think that could be the undoing of what is a pretty interesting collection of skill talent around a certainly, like, has the tools quarterback. I don't know if we know that Will Levis is good. I mean, but I do see why people are excited about it.
I think we're even giving him a lot of credit by saying he has the tools. He's got an arm. He's got a really strong arm.
And he's got some athleticism. Like, he can move a bit. Like,
yeah,
he's a bigger body. I mean, it's just, we've seen that be a successful formula if the mind can get there. I have no idea on if it can. Like, I have no idea at all if that's the case for Will Levis. But I do think what you're hoping to do if you're the Titans is, like, put yourself in a position to see can he be the guy by getting this, this collection of skill talent and trying to put a field of good offense around him? And I just wonder if we're putting too much faith in offensive line coaching, because if that offensive line is as bad as it was last year, again, you can't really even evaluate him because he's under constant duress.
And all of the defenses in the AFC South got better this offseason, so it's going to be interesting to see. I've got to fix the audio one.
I don't know. I hear one team in the AFC South lost their team's leading pass rush. What happened?
Hold on, I just kind of cut back in there. What was being said?
Was the fix in the sound just turning Tate's mic off?
Oh,
No, my mic's still on.
that's too bad.
Although it wouldn't shock me.
There was this annoying static thing. I fixed the static, but somehow I haven't figured out a solution for the Tate thing yet. But it'll be interesting. I'm curious. Because I think Bo Nix was listed as the non-starter today. Cortland Sutton's at the top of the wide receiver board right now. What exactly do you guys think about Denver pass catchers? Or do you do everything you can to not think about them at all?
I think it's kind of gross, but I mean, someone's got to catch the passes theoretically.
Yeah.
I've drafted Cortland Sutton in dynasty leagues for the last 4 years, so I'm not committed.
Gotta love some Cortland Sutton in your life. He's a good receiver.
Yeah, for better or for worse, I feel like he's just the type of guy that I like as a receiver, and I know that makes me biased towards him. So whenever I'm in that mid to late to mid round, depending on which year of the last 4 years we're talking, I've always been I've got enough Cortland Sutton shares that I probably will keep buying at the current price. I do think it's low for a receiver who's got receiver one capabilities in an offense that I think we're all probably rightfully kind of low on, but at the same time is a Sean Payton offense that, could always be better than what we, I think we're low. I think we're rightfully low on it, but I think we are low on it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask, the Sean Payton offense thing, how sure are we that that's not just Drew Brees?
People said the same thing about Mike McCarthy.
I mean, not a lot. I mean, I have been disappointed in most post Drew Brees, Sean Payton. I also don't think that post Drew Brees, Sean Payton has had very quality quarterbacks to work with, and I mean that's kind of a chicken and the egg situation. So I also don't know if I think he has one now.
And isn't to some extent that's his like you're saying the guy had deluded himself into believing that he could turn Taysom Hill into something, and then now thinks that he sees the second coming of Drew Brees in Bo Nix, which more power to you if that's what you think. But I don't know. I think it's fair to question if he's as good as, or should be getting the deference that I think he is given a lot of.
Taysom Hill's still being paid by the Saints.
He will be for the rest of his life.
Oh.
Yeah, if for no other reason, then I think it would cripple their cap if they were to cut him.
The city of New Orleans would stop functioning.
I'm so low-key hyped on Taysom Hill this season. You guys have no idea.
Okay.
Oh my god.
There's nothing better than important third down. Derek Carr, your actual starting quarterback, runs off field, and Taysom Hill comes in and takes the snap on an important third down. Nothing better. Every single Sunday, I live for it.
I will say, I do think that just the mere fact of them changing their offensive coordinator is going to yield a better offense just by virtue of it having to. Like it has to, because they had the worst
don't know if you
offensive
know this.
coordinator in the league.
The Saints had a top 10 offense last year.
I understand. I actually don't understand that, but I can tell you from watching it, that offense was bad.
So this is I love that we're having this conversation because I think that a couple of things are happening here, which is it's going to be a better offense. It's going to look a lot better. I don't know if it's going to finish as statistically successful as it was last year, which is a crazy thing to like needle to thread. But I really do see a chance where this is like the 12th or 13th best offense, but everybody thinks it's a better offense because it's more visually appealing and clearly run better and like more of a modern NFL offense. I'm very excited about. Again, not very excited is getting too hyped, so I hype myself down. I'm low key very intrigued by how this team will use Taysom Hill, and I don't think it's going to be maybe as good for fantasy football, but I do think it's a better usage of what Taysom Hill's skill set has been than him being a quarterback. Which is again, this is still for all of the hate he gets, still someone who averages 5 yards a carry, like still someone who is a piece to an offense. Is he the offense like he's been? No, and I understand why he gets the hate, but I can see a very successful Taysom Hill year in a much more visually pleasing offense that yet doesn't reach the statistical levels it did last season, because I think we all agree that like it was gross and it's crazy that they got as many points as they did.
But doesn't it kind of, like you say that you could see him like having a better role for him that maybe not be as good for fantasy, but like doesn't the better role for him kind of have to be good for fantasy? Like to be using him fully to some extent?
That's fair. I guess what I see is I see him being used more. I don't see him as I don't think they're going to use him as a quarterback. He's not, even though he's listed as a quarterback on the depth chart. I think that like we're taking Derek Carr off the field and snapping the ball to Taysom Hill. There might be a couple of snaps a game or like a red zone package where that happens, but the majority of Taysom Hill usage looks like it's going to be as a fullback and flex tight end, which is motioning back and forth in and out of the backfield and into the slot. And that's going to be very interesting in a Shanahan-style offense. Like, that's a player that I don't know what that results in as, like, targets or yards or anything like that, but I do think that skill set that he has being utilized as, like, hey, instead of lining him up 7 yards behind the offensive line and having him run straight at it, like, let's get that player moving in and get him the ball in space. Let's, throw it back to him off of play action as the tight end fullback crossing behind the line of scrimmage, getting the ball with 7 yards to him and a linebacker and trying to get upfield. Like, it's just, I see how that's a better position to get him the ball in for a functional, successful looking offense, but I don't know if that means that he ends up with as many touchdowns as a guy who's like relied on touchdowns for a lot of his fantasy value.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was about to ask a funny question about the Saints, and it was going to be, how long do you anticipate Derek Carr to be on the team? And then I looked at his cap hits, and the answer is forever. The answer is he'll always be a Saint. Next year, his cap hit is scheduled to be $51 million. The year after that, it is scheduled to be $61 million. And the year after that, it's going to be $18 million.
So your answer would be 2 years.
Yeah, it'll be 2 years, then they'll split his cap hit over the final 2 years. If they cut him, I think they'd like to probably extend him, which would be, again, locking the team into mediocrity for the foreseeable future. But I bet you if you asked them what they wanted, they want to make the playoffs this year and next year and then re-sign him. Even though, again, I think you're preventing yourself from ever winning a Super Bowl. But that's what I think the front office of the Saints wants to do.
Let me ask you a question. Do you like this monster that the Saints have made and
No.
seemingly are always going to be with. Like, Saints fans, do you like
The
this?
cap?
Is this fun? Do you look at this and smile?
So, I think two things. I do actually think that they are. I don't actually think. I mean, we see based on this year so far, if they don't make any more signings for the rest of the year, they actually have taken their first step in fixing the cap issue, which is it's going to take this year and next year, and then in the following offseason, we are close to back to normal like the rest of the league operates, where we're maybe 15 million ahead over the cap, and then it's we can get most of the way back there with a 2 year. You don't sign anybody for more than 1 year contracts, and you only go under the cap as much as you need to be able to sign and roster a team that's really not spending that much extra money. Like outside of Chase Young, incentive laden deal, and our rookies, this team didn't spend any money. And it signed everybody to 1 year contracts, even Chase Young. No one got more than a single. No player was signed on the Saints this year to a multi-year contract outside of players' extensions to get underneath the cap and rookies. So they've done the first step, and it's going to take another year to do that. So I do think that they are slowly, with this mediocre team, this is the first year that they've pivoted to this direction. I think they've realized that this team is capped out. That being said, do I think that the Saints are an organization that look at football and the NFL as we are trying to win the Super Bowl every year? No. I think that they would like to win the Super Bowl again, but I think they look at this as prior to the Sean Payton era, this was a laughingstock team that didn't have good corporate sponsorship, didn't have local attendance, didn't have national media attention, truly was a laughingstock organization. And now it is, in their minds, and as recently as a few years ago, but still in their minds, a premier organization in this league. So I think that what they would like is to maintain that status by never being very bad again. I don't think this is an organization or an ownership that has any stomach for tanking, intentionally or unintentionally, to try to do the only thing you really can do to win a Super Bowl in this league, which is get an elite quarterback and build around that quarterback. So I do think that while they are starting to work their way back to what the league would like them to do to be more like everybody else and operate with a more flexible cap situation, that even when they do that, they don't really have the stomach or the intention to ever intentionally, without just truly being bad unintentionally, actually go and try to get that quarterback in the early first round. So yeah, I know that's a long monologue there, but that's my answer. That's my 2-part answer to that question.
There's a really cool hop, skip, and a jump over Bounty Gate. I knew ANF would really want me to bring that up for him.
That's one of my favorite things to talk to Kern about. Okay, I think that's a really interesting perspective that you wouldn't get from the outside.
As a Saints fan, hold on, ANF. As a Saints fan, do you want to but does part of you want to get or load up on, let's call it third and fourth round picks and just try and develop a team over the next year or two? Because from someone who does not follow the Saints closely enough, but memes about the cap, what I understand from that explanation is effectively you're in process and healing yourself on probably what is a 2 to 3 year journey to becoming a completely normal franchise where you can operate as though everyone else operates. But does a little part of you want to root for the development of players that they would be at the end of their rookie deals and you would be in the position to re-sign them at key positions, or potentially be able to leverage some of that development to expedite your recovery? Is that something you want to cheer for as a fan, or is it just it is what it is and we're just going to watch the next 2 years happen and see what happens?
I mean, the sad reality of any sort of sports fandom is that, like, I'm locked in, and that is what it is. Like, I try to appreciate this, not appreciate, I try to understand what the Saints are doing outside of my own, what I would do. Like, what I would do is tear it down, accepting that it is what it is, and rebuild. But that's also not, at the end of the day, that's what you do in Madden. Like, that's what I do because that's what I understand about, like, from an outside perspective as a fan and a guy who develops a lot of football media. I accept that. I think that's probably the best way to do it. I totally understand why what is, at the end of the day, a family-run organization. Like, it is just like, these are like family-run businesses. I mean, this is just like, this is a business that's had a lot of the same people in leadership and ownership for 40 years, 30 years, and have seen what it's like to not have money, not be be a shitty thing that's kind of, you know,
The eights.
again, just like an unsuccessful organization that is now, for better or worse, a successful organization running how they run. And I don't think there is really a lot of, this ownership group will change eventually inherently because Gail will pass away or sell the team. I think it'll probably pass away. I doubt she ever sells the team. But, like, I also don't know if that really works. Like, I think culture shocks can work if you have, again, a full sweeping of the house and kind of come back and try to start from ground zero. But I don't see this organization being the one that has an appetite for it. So to go back to your actual question, like, as a fan, what would I like to root for? Like, yeah, as a fan, I'd love to get excited about rookies and imagine the development and imagine the process. But, like, I think we all know from fantasy, and we all know from just watching the NFL for years, like, most of the time, it's actually the imagination and the longing that's more fun than the reality, because the reality is those guys don't pan out, and you end up still being a shitty or mediocre franchise. Like, you go through your upswings, you go through your downswings.
Yep.
So that's what I would like as a fan, because I am attached to the imagination, and it's more exciting as a fan to talk about how awesome all these rookies are going to be than it is to be like, well, we've got these dudes who are just mediocre dudes. But we do, and this is where I think things have gotten too down on the Saints, we do just have mediocre dudes. Like, these dudes aren't abjectly horrible. They're just very mid. And, like, this is a team that I think is going to, I see this team again being what it's been the last few years, which is a game or so outside of the playoffs. If the ball bounces the right way, they could make the playoffs. And do I think that's the most exciting thing to watch as a fan? No. But I think this ownership group thinks that if Derek Carr doesn't get hurt in the second half of the Packers game last year, and we don't give up 18 points in the fourth quarter in one game, like, have a total fall, if we just that one thing is different, then this team makes the playoffs. And I think this ownership group thinks that they would have had the same run that the Bucks had. And if we had had the same runs as the Bucks had last year, would we all be sitting here saying the Saints have no chance at a Super Bowl, but they're kind of like a good enough team? It'd be this. They'd be in the same spot. There wouldn't be any different. Yes, but the vibes and would be completely different. And that's what I think this ownership group cares about. Like, what I as a fan want is to watch a team that wins more than it loses. Like, I actually am not so scared of not winning another Super Bowl. I am terrified of going back to what it was like to be a Saints fan in the late 90s when you basically were, you didn't exist. So that is what, that's how
I mean, and I just want to echo part of what you're saying about how, sometimes shit doesn't work out, because it is really, I think, rare to have a complete reset of an organization. And we did that, and it sucked. Like, that's I would say a large part of why this year was so fun for Houston fans, because the years following the Watson debacle up until this year have just been the most miserable fucking years possible. And, that's not fun. It's not a good time. No one enjoys themselves. It is just a horrible existence. And if we end up picking Bryce instead of CJ, we're probably, kind of still in that exact same spot. And
this is
yeah,
not to be even more depressing, but this is the sad truth of fandom. And I again say this as a avid sports fanatic. Like, but
right,
this is the sad part of fandom is, and if you just had the best year that you're like, that is the happiest year you get as a sports fan.
right,
Is the successful year that comes out of nowhere. Because
right.
every year after that, until you win the Super Bowl, if you win the Super Bowl, you have now Super Bowl expectations. So maybe this next year, just to get in the if you have a good successful playoff run, this year will be fun. But next year, if you guys don't win a Super Bowl this year, next year is Super Bowl or bust, and every year is Super
Exactly.
Bowl or bust after that in perpetuity, and it's never as much fun as that first exciting came out of nowhere year.
Right.
And like that's the thing is we live as fans for like 2 years out of 10, 2
Right.
years out of 20.
Yeah.
But we do it because those 2 years are sweeter than anything, and the longing and the hoping and the yearning is where we get on. Like,
No, I
that's why
completely
we
agree.
play fantasy football.
There's nothing worse as a Bulls fan than a team that just tries to be just good enough. Doesn't try to lose, doesn't try to win it all. That purgatory of just being good enough is the most painful thing in the world. And
that
it is fun to fantasy
Bulls.
book, like you said. It's terrible. The play-in, just make the play-in and hope to win a game in the first round. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Either tear it down and try and win it all. The teams that just try and exist and not suck it's such a terrible existence.
There's an alternate universe out there where Derrick Rose doesn't go down, and I want to know what that world is like.
That's a peaceful world, sir.
Lippy wins championships in that league.
Sir, you were talking to the FBA champion still.
I don't recognize that.
I recognize the payout Andy sent me.
Let me ask a quick question. Lad McConkey at 7'3". Now Tate, I don't know if your finger slipped or what happened with that pick, but do you want to talk about that pick at all?
I'd love to.
Okay.
So, I mean, I won't even claim to be the biggest Lad guy, but I think it'd be crazy not to see how things are heading in Los Angeles with him. I mean, Quinn Johnson can't catch anything, literally anything.
Maybe a cold.
Yes, COVID.
No, I've yet to see it.
Okay.
But I think they clearly had a plan in mind when they drafted Ladd, and I think he's going to get an opportunity. I think Harbaugh has shown that he will play the best players. So the fact that sure, but if Ladd can't beat out Josh Palmer, who I think is fine, but I think Ladd will be given every chance to be the number one there, and I think he'll take and make the most of it.
Curious.
I'm at least fine with making that bet.
Yeah.
How concerned are y'all on the Herbert injury?
I don't know. It's kind of like the Puka thing. We just have to see when we get closer to the season. Because you don't know.
I'm okay with
it's camp. Like they're taking everything extra careful. They're being, they're not rushing anything. But I mean that makes all of those guys pretty undraftable. If Herbert's not ready to go, that's.
It's the same like plantar thing that Eli had all those years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I feel like that shit always lingered. And was like,
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
he wasn't very good to begin with, so I don't know if that's I'm not making that correlation. But I'm just like,
2-time Super Bowl.
I remember that lingering like throughout the season.
Yeah, which is so bad because I think the passing upside might be limited in that offense anyway, and if the passing you've got is limited on top of limited opportunities, it's going to be yucky.
See, but the rushing, there's so much rushing downside to how they've built that entire backfield. I feel like You have to, like they have to throw the ball. The running backs they have are going to be dead in like 3 weeks.
I mean, possible. Let's see. I'm trying to eyeball any other picks that have attracted my ire. I don't really care about the bots picks all that much.
So it's all been
Well,
my
Alexander,
picks. I just want to
You
voice
really,
that.
you really thought at 310 let me get Rashad White?
Yeah, I think Rashad White's going to be great for redraft.
No regression at all there in Tampa losing Canales to the Panthers.
I don't really think they're going to change terribly all that much about how they use him. No. I really don't think anyone's going to look at what the Bucks did last year, making it to the divisional round, which I don't think anyone thought they would, even Baker. I don't think anyone's going to look at that and say, yeah, what we need to do is change all of this. So, do I think he gets...
Problem is they lost their offensive coordinator, though.
I really just don't care. I don't think there's...
Alexander, last year, would you say Geno Smith was as good as he was the year before?
Oh, yes, I understand, yes. Canales leaves and goes to Carolina. The Bucks will be terrible. He left Seattle, went to the Bucks. The Seahawks were terrible. I understand.
The savior. It's simple as that.
He's not. I mean, so it kind of does make me excited for Bryce. I certainly can't get worse, and if I hope he gets a fair shake. But does it really concern me that much about Tampa Bay? No, it doesn't.
Wait, sorry, not to go backwards, but I do have to say I can't believe that all three. Is this a dynasty draft that y'all are doing, or is this a redraft?
No, this is a redraft.
Okay, how did all of you draft Chargers wide receivers? A&M
Well,
took
I
Joshua Palmer.
took the best one.
Bevo, you took Quentin Johnson, which I don't know if is draftable in a redraft this season.
Well, that's stupid. That's just a terrible opinion.
I mean, is he the third receiver on the team?
I think he's the second receiver on the team.
Probably not top five.
I'd say he's three.
He is not top three on that team. No
He's
chance.
3 if you forget about Hayden Hurst. I'd put him behind Hayden Hurst as far as receivers are concerned.
I could easily forget about Hayden Hurst. Quentin Johnson is ahead of Hayden Hurst.
Quentin Johnson is ahead of himself.
Wait, Quentin Johnson went ahead. I'm trying to think of what receivers. Gabe Davis, I don't know how I feel about that. Rashad Bateman, Jahan Dotson, Dontavian Wicks. Yeah, I guess the receivers are kind of weak at this point, but like
I would take Wicks over him in a heartbeat.
I think it's about the same.
I don't know, man. Again, I'm not trying to pick on you, Bevo. I'm just like I was surprised that all three of y'all picked Chargers wide receivers.
Josh Palmer at 11-10 is goddamn beautiful. I mean,
and Tate, you guys, all of your own devices were like, give me Chargers pass catchers.
Yeah, but I got the better one, so
but are any of them really better?
Somewhere.
You also picked them 4 rounds earlier.
Isn't Ladd dead? Also, wasn't he on the cart or something? Let's look.
Ladd's alive.
Misses practice.
I had a little cramp.
Undisclosed.
Big whoop.
Could be a fucking tumor. Who knows? I guess we'll find out. And her, yeah, I don't know.
How to get the focus off of Bevo's terrible end of his draft? How
goodness?
How does everybody feel about Malik Neighbors going 2 full rounds after Marvin Harrison?
I think Neighbors is tough this year.
Wow, you guys are about to get a great take from Jack on what he thinks of Neighbors.
Oh, but yeah, maybe I'll just let Jack go ahead. But I'll say this before Jack gets started. I'll let him kind of stretch and crack his knuckles. But I think Neighbors is so good. He's so talented. But at the end of the day, that team's going to be fucking horrible. I mean, they're my pick for first overall next year. That team sucks dongo dick. And they're going to be so bad. I think Daniel Jones fucking sucks. They'll probably replace who they signed. Tyrod is back up. I think Tyrod will be starting the second half of the season. And
Howard is with the Jets.
who did they get? Did they get Flacco then? Who?
James
No,
Drew
they got
Lock.
they got locked.
Oh, well, maybe Drew Lock.
It's even worse than you thought, A&F.
God damn. I mean, yeah, that. Jesus Christ. And that. Basically, everything I thought about the Giants was backed up by their hard knocks. Dayball seems like an actual, just total chump. He does yeah, that team sucks. I feel really bad for Neighbors, but he's exceptional. He'll have some great games, but in redraft, that's a really tough pick.
Here's a question I have. Here's a question I have for the. Sorry. Neighbors take. Sorry. I have a question after the neighbors take though. Sorry.
Well, I may have said Malik Neighbors is DJ Chark 2.0 at some point.
Jesus Christ.
I may have said that.
Holy
Do I
shit.
stand by that as much now? No, but do I still hate, like, there's something to dig into as far as this, like, fairly rapid rise in production from LSU receivers and Jaden Daniels. And at a certain point, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to hate. If I'm just supposed to hate Chip Kelly, if I'm supposed to hate Jaden Daniels, or if I'm supposed to hate Malik Neighbors. At first, I hated Malik Neighbors. I don't know that I hate him as much now, but I don't care how many Logan Paul-esque training camp fights he gets in. It's not going to be a great redraft spot this year. I don't want to touch it. I do not want to trust Daniel Jones or Drew Lock throwing to a player. And
The player.
scarily, I agree with A&F. It's like if you could bet on a team to be the number 1 overall pick and have the reasons to want to tank if things are not going well, that seems like the one to pick.
Yeah.
That seems like your betting favorite.
I think
I regret
something-
holding off on my question to let that take go. I mean, there's no way Chalk 2.0 is in the realm of possibilities. I mean, it's like, he's just a clearly more talented player. I do agree that they're off, that might not be a good team, but I still would be willing to bet on just pure, much more so in a dynasty. I don't know about redraft, but
Yeah,
I'd
exactly.
be willing to bet on that.
Exactly. In Dynasty, I think Neighbors is great, and there's no problem with picking him at all. Because he's just that good, and because the team's so bad, because there's so many problems, all of the good stuff is going to be through him and Devin Singletary, who's a rock solid running back. Just saying, let's go motor. But yeah, Neighbors is exceptional. He's going to be super good in Dynasty because the the New York Giants will have the quarterback of their choice next year. So, unless anyone thinks that's a good spot, I would say that's a bad spot. Just and it's worse than a Dunze spot because it's 2 rounds earlier. I think a Dunze spot's really bad too. And again, not because Robe is not awesome. He is awesome. He's great. But that it's a rookie quarterback who's got, as we can see from Team 7, some other pass catching options. And I think it's going to be a lot of the same frustrations JSN just had. So, and we see where JSN is going now. But
way later than you should have.
I don't know about that. I think next year is JSN's real year. I think next year is when JSN really pays off. Because I kind of think this is it for Lockett. And next year JSN will really be able to flourish. Or at least that's what I'm thinking. I don't know what y'all think about that, but that's my prediction. But we'll see.
I think Lockett's not on the team next year. I could see JSN passing him up this year, even with him on the team.
Yeah, I think that'll be a gradual process. I don't think it's going to happen right away. But this is kind of where the reins get passed over, and the offense will become JSN and DK. So it's crazy how much what happened to JSN's dynasty value. If there's ever a time to buy, it's right fucking now, because I feel like his perceived value is I don't know, 2 floors below the basement. So
His value's right at Lad. So would you rather have Lad or Jason?
Jason, for sure.
Wow.
I actually think it's. Yeah, I think it's. I guess I don't know why it's coming across as I'm a Lad hater. I want to make it very clear. It's just I'm a Jason appreciator on that. So
I don't know. I'm getting the Lad hater vibe.
I see. I thought you would. That's why I tried to put that out there, saying no, don't think that.
Right.
That's not what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I think it's just the protesting too much, maybe.
Right. It was really the Lad hating that made you think that.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, real quick, and if I wanted to get back to this question because I like that you brought the hard knocks,
Please do.
back into this. I want to get the group's thought on this. Was this year's hard knocks for the offseason for the Giants so bad for the perception of that front office that the NFL won't be able to get another team to participate in next year? Or if they do force a team
I
to
genuinely think so.
that the team will just give canned talk whenever they're in front of the cameras and only do not show anything.
Maybe. I feel like they did this beta test in Clown Town though. I mean, maybe I am vastly overestimating the majority of front offices in the NFL. But they picked a bunch of goobers. I think maybe some teams would obviously not relish in the idea of having all of that exposure, but from what I heard, they have a lot of influence over what actually goes to cut into through the final edit. In addition to that, I mean, hell, it could be good just to show how much more of a or how much better of an organization they run than the Giants. So I don't know. I certainly hope not, because I thought it was really interesting, and I know that I think that
It was, but like, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was your point on them. Like, yeah, they got Final Cut, and all that stuff that made it in is what made it in. Like, they just looked so not. It's not even incompetent. It was like just closed-minded to so many things, and like so set in just this stubbornness that I think. People who have conversations with front office people like far more than I ever had I think that's probably a shared thing amongst most front offices. I think that's why, like, I guess it kind of depends on who's making that call, right? Because if it's the GM making the call and he knows his staff, like, he might be like, no, we can't put these guys on.
Let Larry in front of the camera.
Yeah, I can't have somebody talking about bad vibes or something in the face of evidence and everything. Like, we can't do that. I do think they're going to be hard pressed to get someone to do that.
That's a shame.
I mean, I just think because I loved it too, but I do feel like, can you think of a non actual football move, but just like press that has lowered your opinion or lowered the league's, like the football community's opinion of someone more than this did to Joe Shane? Like, this just crushed him.
Oh.
Like, before this show, I would have been like, that's a good GM. Like, I actually think that he's making the right... Like, I would trust him. I'd be excited for him to be on. After watching this, would you ever, any other team, want him to be their GM?
No.
Not a chance. Over my dead body would I let him manage my team.
So who's gonna ever do this again? Like...
I think you can have a... So here's the thing. The really good teams aren't going to want the distraction or the bother. So the NFL, I think you're right. The NFL is going to have to make somebody do it. But I think the show looks way different and is just even better with a really high-functioning organization doing it. But that's probably... I don't know.
I kind of tend to agree with Tate, though, that like even the high-functioning ones are going to look just as stubborn and like they're going to have more historic success on their side. So maybe we give them the benefit of the doubt. But I don't know that it's like opening the world up to how front offices make player decisions at the highest level outside of a couple of organizations is going to look good for those organizations. I think a lot of it's going to make it look like, hey, these are just people who use the best of the resources at their availability, but like at the end of the day, go on bias and gut instinct and make like 50-50 decisions that most of the time don't work out, and like pretty much anybody could do that. Like I feel like it demystiques the position in a way that the other Hard Knocks didn't. The other Hard Knocks were like made you look at how crazy it was to be a coach or a player and give you this insight into the crazy cool world. Yeah. This is just like, these are just dudes in lounge chairs shooting the shit and talking shit about Saquon Barnes' back.
Talking to Dayball on FaceTime as he smokes his cigars.
Yeah, like these guys look like assholes. I don't know what they're doing. Like,
yeah, like imagine how many like sweet cheeks they had to cut out of like just old ass dudes saying that to staff members and shit. Like these are old ass people who like and Gene just really has no excuse. That was awful as far as his intellect and stuff on the show, but like these are people who are not changing the way they do things. Like they actively push against it when it comes to analytics and all that shit, and like they purposefully make it harder. They make their job seem so important. Like I just remember when I was doing the agent bullshit, like scouts were some of the most annoying people to talk to because they were just like, I'm the most important person here. It's like, brother, we're both at McNeese State right now. Like, what? That you're not. And I just think putting those guys in front of a camera is asking for trouble.
I mean, so two things. One, I think there are like younger front offices out there that are much more with it, that clearly do a better job, or at least, or maybe not. Maybe it's just the coin flip went their way. But I also think that if in the future they do this again, which fingers crossed they do, they will also know that like what the response will be to them and their organization if they look like this. So in a way, this has ensured like a better look going forward because of like how bad the Giants looked. Man, I hope it doesn't go away. I hope it doesn't go away. Oh my god. I'm sure.
I think you're.
Go ahead.
I was going to say you're likely to get like. I feel like you're likely to get team-owned media efforts to do this instead of what they just did to the Giants, because like
but
at that point, it would. You can say it would suck, but like, I mean, the whole reason that Hard Knocks is successful is because people like care about players and want to see that process. Not like the same thing does not apply to like globally. People care about the front office. Only the fans of the New York Giants and the people that hate the New York Giants are going to watch that show with any sort of like interest in the show.
I disagree.
It'll bring.
I disagree entirely. I completely disagree. I watched every episode and I don't give a fuck about the Giants. It was awesome to watch. I think, well, maybe not as high of a like audience as the normal Hard Knocks. I would watch this show if it was about the Packers. I would watch it if it's about about the
also the time in which
I'm watching
the time which it comes out in the football season when it's just like you're just desperate for anything.
Yeah. The timing it's a beautiful like I guess seasonal slot for football fans because you're done with the draft when the episodes start airing, so you're at that time. Between camps, between the draft, there's no football content. You know, you're scratching the side of your face looking for more, and then here comes this Hard Knocks, and you get to see the insides of an organization, which until these shows come out, we never get to see. So
I'd venture as far as to say that it's the worst for the Giants. Like if that was just what I'd watched about the Saints all season and that was the setting, you know how hard a time. Like I wouldn't even be showing my face on these pods. I'd be like, I can't do it. Like, no, I can't.
Sorry, can't make it this week. Yeah, the people it's worst for is the Giants fans.
I gotta hop off, y'all, but good podding.
It's good talking to you, man. Take it easy. Oh man, yeah. I'm trying to think about what teams I would really, really want to see. I think for different reasons, the entirety of the AFC North would be fun. I think it'd be a blast.
Yeah,
just because
I would.
I feel like there's such a difference. I don't know. Go ahead.
I can think of teams like that I would have wanted to see like in the past. I don't necessarily care that much now, but like I would have given anything to see the Texans when they had Bill O'Brien and that evangelist guy there. That would have been, top tier stuff.
No. See, that's exactly what we were just saying about it being the worst for Giants fans. Oh god, no. But I would love to see the Texans now because I think Casario's great. But no, that's imagine if they had shown the conversation where they decided to trade DeAndre Hopkins because they didn't like that he had children with different women.
That's what I'm saying. Like that would have been gold. I'm talking like award-winning gold. That would have been amazing.
Man, that you just saying. You didn't even have to say Voldemort's name. You didn't even say Easterby. You just said the evangelist guy. Just my smile just flattened out automatically as you said that.
I'm sorry. I hate bringing it up, but it just still baffles me to this day that it even happened.
It's very important to bring it up. But you appreciate the good times because of the bad, and oh my god, it was tough.
You legit had Andre Johnson, who never tweets except to do promo stuff for any brands that he has endorsements with, being like, "We gotta get this guy out of there."
Yeah. Which, by the way, huge shout out to Andre being in the Hall of Fame now. Let's fucking go, buddy.
Oh, one of my favorite receivers of all time.
Oh, I'm so pleased. It was so cool. So many of the old Texans showed up, and it was just it was a real fun bomb. Yeah, and so they're starting the new hard, like the normal Hard Knocks with Caleb and the Bears. So I know Team 7 will be watching that one very intently. But let me ask you,
their whole future rides on it.
they're gonna be watching that with a microscope. Let me ask y'all a question. What are your expectations for the Bears football wise, and kind of their skill players and Caleb fantasy wise this year? Because I really think it's going to be. I really don't know. I think it's going to be tough to call your shot on those fellas. So I'm curious as to what y'all think.
I don't know. I mean, I like a lot of. I think they're set up well.
Yeah.
And I really do think that Caleb is going to be good pretty much from the jump. I think that's fair to expect out of him because he's looked good at every level pretty much. Like, and everywhere he's gone. I mean, there were some, games where he didn't look the best, but even like the game they lost to Tulane, he looked good. So yeah, I think he'll be good. I just I feel like it's crazy to expect them to do too much of a turnaround, though. Like, I think expecting them to win double-digit games might be a stretch.
Yeah, I mean that would be insanity.
Yeah.
To expect them to do that. What's their? Let's take a look here. Bears win total 2024 8.5. Would you take the
Okay.
over
Yeah.
or
So
under
that
for
makes
that?
sense. Um,
I think it's a pretty good line.
I do too, because as we were sitting here, I was kind of thinking 8.
Yeah,
Um, but I don't think they would win less than that. Like I think they'd for sure win more than that. So I'd probably go over just because I'm an eternal optimist. Um, but it wouldn't shock me if that's where they ended up at 8.
yeah, yeah. I'd probably say the
Oh,
under just because that division's really good, um, and I think Caleb being good and in a really well set up team for him is great. But I think there's going to be growing pains. So I'd probably take the under, but I also don't think I think it's a good line. I think 8 wins is probably where I'd peg him to be, and I could see 7 or 6, but I could also see like some really crazy stuff happening and them getting to 9 or 10. So um, good line.
well, I'll be the contrarian and say that they get the over, and then I'll put Caleb as QB 14 on the season, fantasy wise.
That's a nice finish for a
So
rookie. Yeah,
I think the driver behind that is like that's going to be a team that like defense definitely carries you to a few wins. I think he's going to have to distribute the football a lot. I don't know that he's going to find like instant chemistry with anyone necessarily. If I had to pick like wide receiver 1 coming out of the season, it's probably DJ Moore. I think Keenan Allen regresses pretty heavily, but like he's got so much to work with, and he's got like no pressure like any other first round pick has ever had. As far as like, hey, you don't have to carry this team by yourself. Like you have a
yeah.
lot of like people to help you steward this thing to 10 wins. And the reason I would say 10 wins is like I'm not an expert in how the NFL does scheduling, but I do know that like the Bears finishing last
They
effectively.
play the last team from each NFC
I don't.
division. Yeah,
Yeah, I can't remember if they did finish last or if they finished third to last. Like I don't. I think they finished behind the
yeah, they did.
Vikings.
They did. They finished last, so
Okay.
they get to play the last team of each NFC division. They'll play. I think they play the AFC South. That's their AFC opponent this year because I know we're playing the Bears. We're playing the Lions. So we're playing the NFC North. So they'll play the AFC South. Obviously they'll play their 2 against each of the NFC North. They'll play their game against the other last teams in the NFC, which is a little unfortunate for them because they pulled the Cardinals. But um, but they also get the Panthers. So, um, but yeah, no, I completely agree. And so like that's just like a situation where like, man, you've got DeAndre Swift at running back, you've got DJ Moore, you've got Keenan Allen, you've got Robert Dunze, you've got Cole Kmet, who's a perfectly fine tight end, and I think it's going to be fine. I don't know, but I just don't know, and obviously we'll see. Think I think that front office deserves a pat on the back because they did a great job, and they get to really enjoy it now. So we'll see.
I think the toughest part about the Bears' schedule is literally the back 6 games of it. The last 6 games are tough.
Let's take a
Like
look
as
here.
far as like if you need to go 500 over the last 6 games, I'm going to see the Bears struggling to do that. If they need to beat the Vikings and the Seahawks and that's it, great. But like Lions, 49ers, Vikings, Lions, Seahawks, Packers to end the season, like that's not a fun end of season. The only thing I could see you like being helpful with that would be like if for whatever reason Green Bay has locked up or is locked into whatever playoff spot it's in, then that last game becomes a little easier if they have nothing to play for and you get to be the benefactor of it. But like should be exciting.
You know what's really interesting about their schedule is they get the entire AFC South out of the way in the first 6 weeks. They play Tennessee, Houston, Indianapolis to open the season, and then Jacksonville and London week 6. Um, so, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Any fantasy player that you guys have been uniquely or overly interested in as a player you're just super interested to see how the season goes for him this year? Maybe we've talked about him already. I don't know. But I have one, and it's all of the Texans wide receivers because I do not know how that works out. As camp news has started, every reporter has a different answer, and I still think that I would probably want Tank, but I think I'm in the vast minority of that opinion at this point. So I really don't know what's going to happen there. I really hope I think it's going to be interesting. But curious if you all have anything you're really keeping an eye on.
Probably most interested in Derrick Henry because I have a standing argument with you about him making the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, what do you think about that?
I mean, like
to set the position, it is.
No! Do not poison his ears. Do not poison his ears. I just want to hear what he has to say. I just want to hear what. No. Before you start with your magic and your tricks, Tate, what do you think about Henry making the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, let me get this out of the way, and then I'll let Jack do a sell job. So my gut reaction when you said the bet or debate or whatever was, of course, Derrick Henry's a Hall of Famer. And then I kind of said, well, if they're debating it, then maybe not.
See?
So that's where I'm at.
Look at that.
So the funny thing about this is that ANF told me that the fact that I said Derrick Henry getting like another 1,000-yard season this year would solidify it. And he was like, the fact that he needs to do anything this year means he's not a Hall of Famer. And it's like, that's so ridiculous to me. The guy is like pacing near, I think it's like near Marshall Faulk. They're like clear-cut running backs he's behind are basically Eric Dickerson and Adrian Peterson. And he's basically alongside every other like recent Hall of Fame running back. The only other one being like Barry Sanders, who he has paced with for part of his career, but like Barry Sanders straight up outran everybody during the last part of his career and then quit. So
we disagree about AP too.
AP is a first ballot Hall of Famer, and that's not a doubt.
He's not first ballot.
Adrian Peterson?
He's not first ballot.
Yes.
They're not going to give it
He's
to
a first ballot Hall of Famer.
He's waltzing in. Are you crazy? He's waltzing
They're
in.
not going to give him first ballot because of his kid beating. I'm telling you, he's going to make the Hall of Fame, but they're going to make a point not to make him first ballot.
They're definitely not because, unfortunately, as it may be, everyone's forgotten about that.
I don't think so. I'm telling you, because it's going to come up again when it comes time for that to happen, which is very soon. It's just going to swirl around back up to the top because it's going to be back on everyone's mind. Like, oh, we've got to talk about Adrian Peterson. Oh, wait a second, and then that's going to be the top of everybody's mind. And they're not. And we can talk about the rights and wrongs of that. We can talk the rights and wrongs about him being affected by that. But he's not going to get first ballot.
I would bet so much money on him being a first ballot Hall of Famer.
So would I. I wish they would give me odds on that. I would take that so quickly. It would be insane. But, I mean, no, looking at it, like, Derrick Henry right now is 36th all-time in rushing yards. A 1,000-yard season jacks him up to 27th.
Yeah,
and
we play 30 games a year now. I'm just saying.
I mean,
it ain't
Derrick Henry has, he's put together like some of the most like prolific stats for running backs other than CMC in the past like 10 years, and he got a little bit of a late start as far as like a career goes. But once you look at his pickup from like where he started and where he's gotten himself to, like he is basically matching every other single Hall of Fame running back that you're like, wow, that is a really good running back. Like, I'm not talking about like name some guy from the 80s. I'm talking like Eric Dickerson, Marshall Faulk, Barry Sanders. Like those are the guys in the sample size AP. That's who you're measuring against. So the fact that he's in that conversation should tell you like where he is going. Like he will be in the Hall of Fame. He will not be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he does need to like not die in the next 2 years. But so like he needs some more help. He needs a few more stats. Like he needs to break like thresholds that like make sure that he differentiates himself. But that can be done over the next 2 or 3 years, with one more 1,000-yard season, 800-yard season, and then like a retirement year where he puts up another couple hundred yards and it just adds to his totals. Like that will be enough for him to easily make the Hall of Fame. And that being said, I do have to go A&F.
All right, well, take it easy, Bevo. He's going to be in the Hall of Very Good. And that's a great spot because he's been very, 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 very good. Well, then there were two. So, Tate, do you want to have a final word or a final take you'd like to share before we close out here?
I'm aware, Tate. This is the floor is mine. I can really do whatever. No, I guess what I'm interested in seeing, just to go back to that, I'm curious on two things. One, I'm curious as to how the Packers receivers are going to shake out. I know if Lippy was here, we could probably go another hour on that.
Yeah.
But I'm curious as to how that shakes out and whether Jordan Love can like keep it going. But I'm also interested in what the Falcons' offense is going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
I just like if Kirk comes back. Does Pitts capitalize on what everyone feels like he can do? Does Drake London ascend to where everyone seems to be drafting him in fantasy drafts? Like, just what does that look like? Those are kind of the two things that come to like front of mind that I'm interested in for this season. Because I think if those things don't happen for the Falcons specifically, a lot of people got some takes that are going to look real bad because people are buying into that offense hard.
Me, for one, because I bought into London in a big way because I'm a big believer in the offense now. But I mean, I'm all in, and so I mean, I'll look like a red-nosed clown if it doesn't work out. Because I gave up 2 firsts and 3 thirds for London and Fuckfest. So,
damn, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So
that's a little steep.
It is steep, but my belief is that the offense really takes off, and he's going to be the real deal. So, obviously, if he's not, I'll be very sad. But completely agree. I also just think it'll be good to finally get like a real offense around Pitts, because this will finally be able to kind of show like what's going on here. Because
right.
There's
right, like it's certainty.
Yeah. And I guess maybe not. I guess maybe if Kirk is still broken or comes back slowly or isn't quite right from the injury, then I guess maybe we're just left with even more questions. But I certainly hope that's not the case. But yeah. Well, I guess I'll get this uploading. It's been a pleasure as always, sir. I wish you well and hope that you have a fine rest of your week. Just a truly tremendous one.
Yeah, same to you. It's always an honor to be on, and I look forward to the next time already.
All right.